Good afternoon and welcome to the New York City hybrid hearing on a Committee on Aging. Please silence all electronic devices at this time. If you're here to testify and you have not yet filled out an appearance slip, even though you filled it out online, you have to do that in person. Also, please silence all electronic devices. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and apologies again for my delay. Welcome to today's oversight hearing on the New York City Department for the Aging's meal programming. I'm Crystal Hudson, Aging Committee Chair, and my pronouns are she, her. We're also considering the following legislation today, Introductions 237 and 238, sponsored by me, which would codify New York City Aging's grab-and-go meal program and establish a technical support program for older adults, respectively. Introduction 725, sponsored by Councilmember Lynn Schulman, requiring NYC Aging and the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, or HPD, to report on senior and accessible dwelling units, and Introduction 770, sponsored by Councilmember Linda Lee, in relation to requiring home-delivered meals to be delivered each day of the calendar year. And we are joined here today by Councilmember Linda Lee. A recent report from the New York State Comptroller's Office finds that New York City's older adult population is both large and rapidly growing. This trend is driven by increased longevity, the aging of the baby boomer generation, and immigration. Currently, New York City is home to approximately 1.8 million residents aged 60 and older, representing nearly 21% of the city's total population. But with this population growth comes a troubling rise in economic hardship. In 2023, 21.5% of New Yorkers aged 65 and older lived below the federal poverty line, compared with 18.2% of the city overall. The number of older adults living in poverty grew from about 178,000 in 2013 to more than 250,900 in 2023, a nearly 41% increase in just a decade. Median household income for households headed by older adults aged 65 and older was only $46,359 in 2023, far below what is required to meet New York City's cost of living. Housing costs compound these pressures. 61% of older renters are rent burdened, spending at least 30% of their income on housing. Food insecurity has emerged as one of the most acute threats to older New Yorkers' well-being. According to New York City Aging's most recent service needs assessment, nearly 30% of older adults report difficulty or an inability to purchase affordable, healthy food. A 2024 survey conducted by City Meals on Wheels and the CUNY Urban Food Policy Institute found that almost half of older New Yorkers reported some level of food insecurity, and among those receiving home-delivered meals, 60% still reported food insecurity. These findings underscore that even those already accessing nutrition programs are struggling to afford or obtain sufficient food, revealing gaps in coverage and the depth of need across the city's aging population. Like pouring gasoline on a fire, the Trump administration and congressional Republicans are intentionally making these problems much worse. On September 2nd, draconian Republican cuts and cruel work requirements for SNAP took effect. These changes will cause millions of people, including many older New Yorkers and immigrant New Yorkers, to lose access to critical food assistance, further burdening food banks and other charitable organizations with extra demand for food. But it doesn't stop there. Trump has attacked food banks too, clawing back millions in funding and driving Americans further into food insecurity and poverty. And drastic cuts in work requirements for Medicaid will severely harm our city's older adults, restricting their access to health care. Even the federal agency that awards grants to support older adults is on the chopping block, with the Trump administration firing many of its employees and announcing its intention to dismantle it entirely. That's why it's more critical than ever that we have meal programming options in New York City for older adults, and that we allocate sufficient resources to meet growing demand for food assistance in our city. Through New York City's network of older adult centers and the Home Delivered Meals program, and together with our state partners, the city can and must do its part to provide nutritious meals to older New Yorkers and ensure they can live their lives with dignity and security. But as we will discuss today, the number of home-delivered meals served has declined by 800,000 since fiscal year 2023, and the number of meals served at OACs has yet to reach pre-pandemic levels. Despite a rapidly growing need for food among our city's older adults, at today's hearing we will review the recently released metrics for these programs from the 2025 Mayor's Management Report, discuss how federal cuts will impact New York City aging services of food insecurity among older adults, and examine ways to restore and expand meal programming so that the city can serve more older adults at a time when the federal government is turning its back on our most vulnerable communities. And before I conclude, I want to just read another bit that is relevant. The Trump administration's recent decision to eliminate its annual food insecurity report comes just months after deep cuts to SNAP, obscuring the data we need to track how those cuts affect vulnerable New Yorkers. For older New Yorkers who already face high rates of poverty and food insecurity, the loss of this national benchmark makes it harder to demonstrate need and secure resources, meaning that the city must really hold itself accountable here. Now I'd like to conclude by thanking the committee staff for their work on this hearing, Christopher Pepe, Chloe Rivera, and Samuel Hamid. I would also like to thank my staff, Andrew Wright, Elika Ruentan, and Omar Richardson. Before I read a written statement from Councilmember Shulman on her bill being considered today, I'd like to offer the opportunity for Councilmember Lee to read a statement on her bill.
Thank you so much, Chair. So good morning, everyone, colleagues, agency partners, advocates, and neighbors. I'm here to talk about Intro 770, which is the bill being heard today. The goal of this bill is clear and simple. Every eligible older New Yorker should have a reliable supply of nutritious food for all 7 days of the week, year-round. To be explicit, the bill's focus is 7 days of food supply, not necessarily 7 days of doorstep delivery. Many excellent providers already meet weekend and holiday needs through multi-day drops, frozen or ready-to-heat meals, and shelf-stable packs. We want to honor that smart, practical approach while making sure no day is left uncovered. I'm grateful to the providers and advocates who've engaged with us. As a former nonprofit executive, I value the partnership and the operational know-how that you bring, and we share the same aim. Keep seniors nourished consistently and do it in a way that strengthens, not strains, the community organizations at the heart of this work. Between now and markup, I'll be working with the chair, my colleagues, the administration, the Department for the Aging, and OMB to land this bill in a strong, workable place, which means aligning resources with the goal, including pursuing companion appropriations and ensuring contract terms reflect real costs. And as many of you know, I hate unfunded mandates, and so that is not the goal of this bill. We want to make sure that there's funding in place, so we hear you, to the nonprofit leaders out there. Codifying flexibility, affirming that advanced provision, frozen, shelf-stable, multi-day delivery is fully compliant so long as clients have uninterrupted access to food, and also improving the mechanics from prompt payments to clear guidance and reporting so providers can plan confidently and clients experience seamless service. Our seniors deserve the dignity of knowing tomorrow's meal is there, full stop. And our nonprofit partners deserve the clarity and support that let them do this work sustainably. Thank you to everyone who has contributed thoughtful feedback. I look forward to finalizing a bill that is steady, flexible, and sustainable, a 7-day food supply guarantee our older adults can count on and our providers can deliver. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lee. And now I will read a written statement by Councilmember Shulman on her bill being considered today, Introduction 725. And she states, thank you, Chair Hudson, and thank you to my colleagues on the Committee on Aging for holding this important hearing today. As we all know, New York City is home to a rapidly growing population of older adults. By 2030, 1 in 5 New Yorkers will be over the age of 60. Yet too many of our seniors live in apartments that are not equipped to meet their needs as they age, particularly when it comes to accessibility and mobility. Intro 725 that I'm sponsoring would require the Department for the Aging, in partnership with HPD, to submit an annual report on how many seniors live in apartment buildings in each council district, and how many of those apartments have been retrofitted for people with disabilities. This may sound straightforward, but the data we collect will give us a clear picture of where the gaps are and how we can better target resources to keep older adults safe, independent, and in their homes. Without this information, we're flying blind. Intro 725 is about dignity, transparency, and planning for the future of our city. It will ensure that we are making informed decisions to support seniors and allow them to age in place with the respect they deserve. I look forward to working with all of you to move this bill forward. Thank you. And I will now pass the mic to the committee counsel to administer the oath to the administration.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. Already did it. In accordance with the rules of the council, I will administer the affirmation to the witnesses from the mayoral administration. Commissioner, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and to respond honestly to council members' questions? You may proceed with your testimony.
Was this on?
You can say it again on the mic.
I do. You want me to go?
Yeah.
Cool. Good afternoon. First of all, congratulations. I applaud you for getting an aging article in a newspaper, which is a hard feat to do. We are always struck by the ageism in our press and the lack of attention to the aging issue. So congratulations for that. And also for your strong leadership and advocacy in terms of aging issues. So, as you all know, my name is Lorraine Colte Vasquez, and I'm the Commissioner for the New York City Department for the Aging. And I'm grateful to speak to you today about meal programming and services for older adults, because we believe in aging in place, and these services are an essential part of an age-inclusive city centered around community-based care. As we frequently say, nearly 2 million New Yorkers are aged 60 and over, and that number is expected to increase significantly in the next decade, as you stated in your opening statement, Council Member. The city's population ages, so does the need for expanded services to help older adults remain in their home and in communities with dignity. This includes a growing demand for caregiving support, resources, and especially mental health services. Older adults are particularly vulnerable, as well as workforce issues. Older adults are particularly vulnerable to challenges like social isolation, financial insecurity, and limited access to culturally competent care, which can worsen such conditions as depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline. A common denominator of challenges faced by many older adults today is food insecurity and the need for increased nutritional services among older populations, older vulnerable populations. I want to go back to just digress from the written statement for a minute to say why we believe workforce is such an important part, because workforce addresses financial insecurity, which is very directly tied to food insecurity. So I want that link to be made. Two of New York City's aging core services are older adult centers, we have 308 of them, and home-delivered meals programs, which are intrinsically connected to providing meals and nutrition assistance to older adults. While we do not typically view congregate or home-delivered meals as food as medicine, these are essential services for healthy living and preventing social isolation. However, we believe in the philosophy of food as medicine. The work done by OACs, HDM programs, and our case management providers combat poverty and financial insecurity while also connecting homebound older adults to in-home services which address their needs when struggling with activities of daily living. For older adults experiencing food insecurity, it is typically represented by financial insecurity, and we're continuously working to meet those needs within our network of providers. We continue to hit milestones in meal delivery, with the current record of more than 10 million meals served to older New Yorkers throughout the 5 boroughs. This includes 6.1 million meals served at 300 plus older adult clubs in the network and 4.2 million meals delivered by the home-delivered meals providers. We are pleased to share that we are on track to match that number again in the new fiscal year, and are confident that as the aging population grows in New York City and across the country, NYC Aging will be serving more than 10 million meals annually in the years to come. This is an incredible achievement when considering the dollar-for-dollar impact of meals provision as an anti-poverty measure in the lives of older adults. When the Older Adult Act was passed 60 years ago, this July in 1965, A key reason for creating this pivotal legislation was to address older adult poverty nationwide through nutrition and supportive services. While much has changed since the 1960s about being an older adult, the state of the aging population, the basic needs for dignified aging, meals, health, income remain the same. Similar to the successes seen in our meals program is our work through the Cabinet for Older Adults, which utilizes cross-collaboration techniques to address the needs of older adults in a range of areas. This includes housing needs, and we're proud of the work done in the Housing Subcommittee, which reviewed the New York City Housing Preservation, HPD's Housing Vacancy Survey, to better understand how housing, choice, availability, accessibility impacts older adults. Additionally, we have collaborated with HPD surrounding universal design and improvement in buildings which contribute to the overall impact on community care that we see in New York City. Ultimately, NYC Aging does not have the full perspective of housing construction needs, and we rely on that relationship with HPD for that expertise. This information better informs our agency's joint advocacy as we address housing needs among New York's older population. Additionally, we continue to pioneer improvements in tech and the digital literacy space. Just last month, we celebrated the expansion of the Neighborhood Tech Help Program, a partnership between NYC Aging, HPD, New York Public Library, Presbyterian Senior Services, and others, where older adults who are Section 8 tenants in the Bronx will have greater access to digital platforms and devices. This program in their communities and homes, serving NYCHA facilities, older adult centers, library, and other community facilities. We continue to focus on our mission on connecting older adults to services like a digital literacy program, which greatly serves their needs. I know that the general purpose of today's hearing is to address 4 pieces of legislation that are being introduced today. It might be 3. This includes Introduction 237, the bill to establish the grab-and-go meal program, Introduction 770, a bill to require home-delivered meals every day of the calendar year, Introduction 525, a bill to require HPD and NYC Aging to report on accessibility for older adults in multiple dwellings. And Introduction 238, a bill to establish a tech program support for older adults. Regarding the intros 237 and 770, we agree that these bills could improve home-delivered meals and nutrition programs for older adults. But want to highlight, and I thank you, Councilwoman Lee, for acknowledging that in your opening statements, that as it is presented, the bill would present implementation difficulties for the providers. As they're in the negotiation phase, we could address those issues. We also are looking at grab-and-go options at OACs, and we are mindful of the federal requirement of the Older Americans Act entitled 3C1, Congregate Meal Funding, necessitates that congregate meals are provided at OAC and services happen at the same location. Without consideration of this Older Americans Act mandate or changes to federal law, there will be funding implications which might diminish the role of the federal government in reimbursing those meals. Similarly, Introduction 770, which necessitates 7 days of meal deliveries, is currently achieved through a private-public partnership with City Meals on Wheels to supplement NYC Aging's HDM contracts. Nonetheless, the meal delivery requirement is difficult to achieve given labor needs. The daily meal delivery requirement will be difficult to achieve given labor needs and operational challenges seen in all our programs, and we expect that this could result in additional cost implications for this program. Regarding 725, which would require aging to report on older adult and accessibility dwelling units, in our discussions with HPD, they do not have a way of tracking which units house older adults across the breadth of housing types across the city. While they fund older adult housing through their SARA program, that program is a portion of the housing types for older adults. Furthermore, we are not aware of any administrative data sets that track or will be able to track the data required in Intro 725. We would be open to connecting with the council about publicly available data sets that include the information that the council is seeking through this bill. And finally, Introduction 238, which would establish a technical support program for older adults. Technology literacy is an issue that NYC Aging is committed to and actively supports. Older adults are welcome to take a variety of courses offered at older adult centers, which further improved through the council legislation, which gives greater access to courses like utilizing email, as well as understanding and navigating telehealth options. In truth, digital and technological literacy are paramount goals to achieving the spirit of this bill. However, the city does not have the capacity to execute a large-scale IT support program, including devices the city does not have the ability or access to control. NYC Aging is committed to advocating for the needs of older adults and ensuring that partner agencies who are responsible for the aspects of older adult life or experiences know and apply and share that perspective. As always, I'm immensely proud of the work of the NYC Aging staff and the Provider Network. What they accomplish every day is amazing. We are consistently working to be more innovative and efficient in meeting the diverse and growing needs of New York City's older adults. With your continued partnership, we can ensure that older adults are not only cared for, but are also celebrated, respected, and have every opportunity to fulfill their lives. And as you said in your op-ed today, Council Member, those are not just words, those are actions that we believe in and should do every day. I am happy further to discuss any of the pieces of legislation you heard today.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. I'm going to start off with some questions, and then we'll turn it over to Councilmember Lee. City Meals on Wheels and the CUNY Urban Food Policy Institute found that 60% of older New Yorkers receiving home-delivered meals remain food insecure. What is driving this persistent gap despite meal program participation?
The home-delivered meals program provides one meal per day, as do our older adult centers, as most older adult centers. There are some older adult centers that provide an additional meal, either breakfast and some provide a dinner. This may not meet the full nutritional needs of all food insecure older adults. We acknowledge that. We know that that meal meets the nutritional needs for an older adult for that day.
Right.
Right?
That particular meal. That particular meal.
That particular
Yeah.
meal does do that. And in some cases, that might be the only meal
Right.
that they receive, which is why the nutritional value is so important to us. That being said, it just represents a portion of what it is. And we cannot assess what food insecurity is for those people who are not clients of the older adult. And that's, we know that there might be a lot more food insecurity because there are a lot more older adults not coming to the older adult center, and we have no way of having that information, all right?
Right. But I just want to be clear, this question is specifically about the folks who are receiving home-delivered meals.
Yes. And that goes to the fact that this is one meal
A day.
of
Understood.
of meals for that older adult.
Yeah. Does NYC Aging track the food insecurity rates of older adults not enrolled in meal programs? And how do they compare to those who are enrolled? Sounds like no.
Yeah, we don't have the means to track of non-participants. But as you said in your opening remark, that the needs assessment that we did this year did give us an insight to what food insecurity may be for those non-participants.
And the needs
That's
assessment,
that's the 30% that you discussed.
right. But the needs assessment reached how many older adults?
8,600, which is great for a sample, so you can extrapolate from that. But we do not have an actual, nor the capacity.
Have you ever considered, even if it's with partnering with other organizations in order to get it done, but have you thought about like a citywide survey of older adults beyond just this sample?
A citywide survey just on food insecurity?
Well, anything.
The needs
For older
assessment
adults
was a
specifically.
citywide.
But it's 8,600 people, so beyond, to scale up, essentially.
Well, from a survey perspective, that's a pretty large scale. But if the question, here's what I can answer. If it were food insecurity, yes, that would be a valuable survey for NYC Aging to have. And then there's the related statement, which is there's a cost associated
Of course.
with surveys of that magnitude.
I'm just thinking there have to be other organizations that are maybe surveying their clients that maybe are not your clients, and so if there's an opportunity to maybe either pull data
Yeah.
from other
Yeah,
organizations.
that's something we could
or-
explore.
Yeah.
To look at who is conducting these type of surveys.
Right.
And see if they disaggregate data by age.
Right.
And see how we can make some statements.
Okay,
just wanna make-
something to be considered.
One of the things that we were looking at is some of the information that the Department of Health may have, or H&H.
Right.
But then the distinction for us would be distinguishing food insecurity from hunger.
Right.
And there's a wide boulevard between those two issues, or could be.
Yeah, understood. What benchmarks does NYC Aging use to determine when food insecurity among older New Yorkers has been successfully reduced?
For those individuals who are deemed home-delivered meals eligible by our case management agencies, food insecurity is one of the first questions that they ask for, and they look at two factors. Do you have someone in your home either providing, being able to buy groceries for you, or help you cook a meal? That is one indicator that there may be food insecurity. And then the other one is, would you even have the ability to prepare that meal, or even, and what is your ability in reheating a meal even? So that is the kind of things that are indicators for us that someone is food insecure immediately.
Right.
And
Okay.
as you know, that when someone is food insecure, home-delivered meals is turned on immediately before the rest of the assessment is done.
But in order to determine if that food insecurity has been, quote, successfully reduced,
And we could address that by saying that we know that you will get one meal that contributes to the diminishing of your food insecurity.
So is it safe to say that one's participation in the home delivered meals program would be a benchmark that you would consider to say their food
It is a
insecurity has been
benchmark to
successfully reduced?
ensuring that at least you have one meal to address your food insecurity issues.
And I guess my specific question is, is that one meal equivalent, in your opinion, to food insecurity being successfully reduced? Or I suppose not in your opinion, but is that the benchmark that's being used?
I would say for that meal, right? But that is one meal that individual
Right.
is getting.
Right, okay, so, yes.
know what I'm
it's-
saying?
it's-
So I think
it's
we're-
not, we're saying probably the same thing, which
Right.
is that it's not fully addressing food insecurity, but it might be
It abates
successfully.
it. It abates,
Abates it.
the best way to say that, it abates food insecurity because the individual is getting one meal a day rather than no meals a day.
Right. And so abating food insecurity could be equivalent to successfully reducing
Right.
food insecurity. Okay. It could just be semantics here.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's such a larger issue, right? And so what
Right.
we're doing together is addressing one meal, which we believe is essential because it would be no meals.
Right.
And so, you know, that is
One
a
meal is
bigger
most
issue.
certainly better than no meals.
Huh?
One meal is better than no meals. It's not 3 meals, but
Right,
it's
right.
not no meals either, so.
We're abating hunger, we are abating starvation, yes.
Right. And in an ideal scenario, we can get to 3 meals, 7 days, but we'll get there
Yeah.
in just a bit.
We're working
We're
towards
working
getting to
towards that.
7 meals, 1 meal, 7 days.
Okay, congregate meal programs at older adult centers. How does NYC Aging decide which OACs can expand beyond 1 hot meal per day to offer breakfast or dinner? You referenced this earlier in.
Right, in the RFP that was issued 3 years ago, that was an option that people were given, and people can choose that option, and it's a budgetary ability.
Okay, so anybody can do it if they can afford to do it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay. The 2025
and it'll
mayor.
be monitored as we do all meals.
Right. The 2025 Mayor's Management Report states that nearly 6.5 million congregate meals were served at OACs in fiscal year 2025, an increase of about 300,000 from fiscal year 2024. Still, 1 million fewer meals were served at OACs in fiscal year 2025 as compared to fiscal year 2020. This figure also falls well short of the agency's goal of 8.3 million meals served in fiscal year 2025. What is the timeline and strategy to reach and exceed pre-pandemic service levels, and what strategies were employed to achieve the reported increases in fiscal year 2025?
So I want to address the home-delivered meals one first, right?
Okay.
If you recall, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, the state told us to take X number of, I think it was 300,000, 3,000? 3,000 older adults off our home-delivered meal roll. And we had to do that for a while. We then said, we're not abiding by that. We came up in July and put as many of those people as we could reassess back into the rosters. We're still in that toggling with all 3,000 have not come back for home-delivered meals. And so that is the shortfall that we believe contributes to that. Correspondingly, we have just, you're joining us, Lincoln. Correspondingly, we've just switched to a new data system, which we believe is a much better data system for NYC Aging. It is client-focused. It is also user-friendly, and we went from a very costly data system to something called Vive. In that transition, we know that we have had some data glitches, and so we believe that that is a contributor to some of these numbers. For older adult clubs, what I can say is we've done outreach, and we did a major Join Us campaign. We are doing outreach at the local level every day by the providers, and we are yet to meet those pre-pandemic numbers. And it's something that we're looking at continuously, looking at innovations. We try pop-up clinics. We're doing many different ways to try to address food insecurity and to get people to come back to congregate settings.
Is there a specific timeline or a goal by when you'd like to see those numbers return to pre-pandemic levels?
We were hoping that that was this year, but we continue to work on that. You know, I believe that outreach, I think, with word of mouth, I think stronger partnerships with some other entities all lead to that, and I believe that all of those are in the works, locally as well as citywide.
Okay, and I'd like to acknowledge that we've been joined by Council Members Banks and Salam.
How are you? Great, thank you.
What measures are in place to ensure meals are not only culturally appropriate, but also nutritionally adequate, especially for older adults with chronic conditions like diabetes or hypertension?
So as I said earlier, the meals provide, meet all of the state, city, and federal nutrition guidelines, and that also meet the nutritional needs of the majority of older adults. And you also are aware that we have a mandate that if there are 20% of the population is cultural of a different culture, services as well as meals must comply with that population. And so that is how we do that. We do not serve, and I want to be clear for the record, we do not serve medically tailored meals. That is not something that NYC Aging does.
Thank you. And I'd also like to note that we've been joined by Councilmember Ressler, who you seemed particularly excited to see.
I'm always excited to see you. For the record.
But he said it for the record off mic, so it's not actually on the record.
Well, he knows that he made me happy the other day when I won't let it go.
Okay, despite the increase in meals served, the number of OAC meal participants declined by about 2,000 in fiscal year 2025 from fiscal year 2024, from about 117,000 to 100, well, let me be specific, from 117,457 to 115,508. Why is this, and what outreach is being done to expand access, especially among immigrant communities who may face language barriers?
So I want to be, this is not an immigrant issue, and this is not a cultural competence issue either. This is, as I mentioned earlier, this is a combination of the state requirement and us trying to catch up and us switching from one data system to the other.
Okay.
I believe that will at some point calibrate, and then we will know truly what is the decline, if there is a decline.
Do you collect demographic information about new meal participants and how they learned about the meal programs at their OACs to better inform future outreach?
Every provider has an intake form, and in that intake form, it does say, how did you learn about this older adult club? All right, and I believe race and ethnicity is optional. We'll check. I know that sexual preference is optional, and but I don't know if race and ethnicity is optional. Although language spoken is usually asked very specifically.
Okay. I'm going to take a break here and turn it over to Councilmember Lee for some of her questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Chair. So some of these questions I know, but I'll just ask for the record and also to refresh my own memory. So it seems like you would be supportive of Intro 770, provided that there be some adjustments made, right, in terms of how it's operationalized and also the funding, or generally do you support?
Absolutely, those are the two issues that present the biggest barrier to this.
Okay, perfect. And then if you could just remind me, so how much do you sort of anticipate that it would cost? And I forget if there's a distinction between the weekday meals versus the weekend meals, and what that cost difference is?
So if we were to add the 2 additional meals,
Yes.
sans the delivery issue, right?
Right.
Because that would increase it. It is estimated that it'll be between $27 million to $28 million.
And that's not including, like you're saying, the overhead costs with staffing and the delivery fees, the gas, all that other.
That
Right.
That is the complete cost. Because
Complete, okay.
remember, with the public-private partnership, that they only pay for the meal, while the infrastructure is paid for by NYC public dollars already.
Right.
All right? So that would be an all-inclusive, yes.
Okay.
The infrastructure remains the same.
Right. And so I think what we're trying to figure out then moving forward is if we were to deliver, what would that look like for 7-day meals? Meaning, how do we do it in such a way where it doesn't incur more costs per se, right? So,
So the beauty of this is that we have a real example. We do it now.
yeah.
The providers do it now.
Yeah.
And so they would continue to provide it. It's just the funding would come, if this bill was enacted, it would be city funding. But right now, it's a combination.
Right. So for the 27 million additional for the cost, so I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how many of the current providers already provide 6-day meals, or I know some do 7, right? But then how many additional Meals on Wheels providers would we want to bring online to make it so that all the homebound meal recipients are receiving 7-day?
I don't think that is an issue
Okay.
for us. I think the number is so minuscule as to those that provide 6 over 7.
Okay.
I think that's not material.
Okay.
And somebody's gonna knock me, yeah, okay. That's not a material number.
Okay, perfect. And then, so I know that some of the weekend meals are also provided by city meals in terms of some of offsetting some of the costs. And so have you had conversations with city meals in terms of what then they would potentially or could potentially use that funding for? Whether it's an additional meal during the week, or I just wasn't sure.
So, thank you for that question, because City Meals and I had a conversation sometime last week, and have had all along. This bill does not eliminate City Meals on Wheels.
Right.
City Meals on Wheels, and I'm not going to speak for them, they can speak for themselves, is committed to addressing food insecurity among older adults. And so how they then address the other food insecurity needs that the council member has, the chair has presented exist, and I've confirmed that they exist. There are plenty of opportunities to address food insecurity in a variety of measures.
Okay, no, so that's good to happen. So just to reiterate, because I know that their funding is specifically going to some of the weekend meals, and so if that is covered through the city funding, then hopefully, potentially, we can use those funds for something else to address food insecurity.
I think they are in the best position to answer that.
Okay.
But given our conversations, there's plenty of opportunities.
Okay.
There's a breakfast, there's fresh food, there are other great opportunities for them to participate in addressing our mutual goal of addressing food insecurity.
Okay, perfect. And it's good to know you guys are already having those conversations. I just want to make sure that that money stays, in the community.
In the
for
network.
sure.
Oh, I think we
Yes.
all have the same interest.
Perfect. Okay. So for food programs overall, how is New York City Aging addressing the rising cost of meal production, which we all know is going up, and delivery, including the increase in gas, food, and wages?
I want to remind all of us that when we started, maybe, the food cost for home-delivered meals was like $9.38. And over the past 5 years, we've increased that to $14, and I'm looking for the number, $14.78 or something comparable to that.
We meaning we.
We meaning we.
Right. I just want to be clear.
Yeah,
We had a hand in
We
that.
means the city and the city council in partnership has addressed the cost of meals every year together. Clear?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, the we always is you and I and the committee.
Yes.
And city. But
Not everybody says we in an inclusive way. So I just wanted to confirm on the record.
it's so funny that you say that, because I forgot to say my pronouns, which I start with ella, her, and then she. What was the question again for being so fresh?
I'm sorry, it's my fault.
Yeah, no, it's
Just
mine.
addressing the rise in the cost, which you were then.
Well,
linking to how you've
okay,
been-
so together we've addressed that. And it's something that we have to look at given what we see in food costs in the economy now. But it's something that we're very mindful of, we know you are, and in partnership we work to address.
Perfect. And after the reimbursement rate increase implemented at adoption, has New York City Aging received feedback from homebound meal providers about the program? And if so, what are the main concerns that are expressed?
You know, I'm proud to say that I have a monthly meeting with providers where we discuss all of these issues.
I used to be part of those.
Yes, you were part of them. And it's a tradition that I hope continues, because I think it's invaluable, because you can't do this as two separate entities. We've got to work on these issues together. Do we always agree? Of course not. But what we do know is that we're aligned in what advocacy is important to us, which includes food costs, food insecurity, financial insecurity, workforce, and caregiving. We're aligned on all those things.
And then just lastly, and I think the chair sort of alluded to this, but how has New York City Aging been doing in terms of understanding for folks that are not included in this Meals on Wheels program or Homebound Meals program? Have you done any studies or assessments to gather data on the program's demands and how many more folks would be able to be included?
Yeah, it's something that we constantly work with, and we do that with the Case Management Agency. They're a major partner in this, and they inform us as to what the demand is. Fortunate for us, for every older adult that has been identified as food insecure, we've been able to issue home-delivered meals. And one of the other strategies that we do is if we see one district underutilizing meals, we allow and transfer some of those meals to another district so that we're not having a shortage or leaving anything on the table, as we say. And we do that almost regularly with home-delivered meals, and we started looking at that with congregate meals also.
Okay. And have you worked with any other, I don't know, just randomly throwing this out there, other academic institutions or other folks that have sort of a pulse on aging issues throughout the city that maybe are outside of the DFTA network that you could partner
We
with?
do, but our network is our first line of support. And our network is what we rely on. And our network has strong relationship with hospitals and churches and synagogues. And so they know what the demands are, and they know what where the unmet need is.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Chair.
And sorry, just as one quick follow-up to Councilmember Lee's question about addressing rising food costs. For congregate meals, they haven't seen a rate increase in years. So,
And we have made a request to address congregate meals. And it's been one of those things that we are constantly doing because we recognize that also.
and you've made the request with the OMB?
Yes,
Okay.
we have. And
Okay.
we're in conversations with OMB about that. Although I believe that there was a small increase.
Do you,
No.
what might that request look like?
In
Like, you
dollar
know-
amount, I
yeah,
can get back to you on that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
Because we have that number,
Okay.
just for meals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Ressler, followed by Councilmember Banks.
Thank you so much, Chair Hudson. I am really happy to be here for my first Aging Committee hearing. I don't
Welcome.
I don't have the privilege of serving on this committee, but I have been seeing you in action and just how phenomenal a job you've done in delivering for older adults across the city.
Thank you.
And You know, I had the privilege of hosting our commissioner in District 33 last week, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this or saying this, but, you know, she remarked about just how great a partnership you have had together and how instrumental that has been for the success of serving older adults in New York.
Could
And,
not happen otherwise.
you know, even just sitting here for 5 minutes, Commissioner, I just appreciate your refreshing candor and integrity and the care that you bring to this work. It is a real partnership with you, and that's just who you are. It's who you've always been, and so it's good to see you.
Councilmember, you can come back anytime.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just, the problem is if I'm following up you and Councilmember
And when you
Lee.
have questions, you can call before you pose them.
Well, I'll try to be nice, but I just will say, when I'm following up Chair Hudson and Councilmember Lee, I sound like I am the novice, because you both are deeply steeped in, the policies and of serving older adults. So it's good to be here. It's good to be with you all. I am coming, Commissioner, today with a parochial set of questions. Maybe your staff is going to tell you about them now, regarding Polish people in Greenpoint. And, you know, when changes were made to the home delivery contract, the Polish Slavic Center is no longer a partner. And as you know as well as I do, for a lot of the older adults who receive home delivered meals, it's like their sole engagement with another person for maybe that whole day, or maybe even for the week. And having that culturally competent Polish-speaking individual who's bringing a Polish meal, it really makes a difference. And I know, I've been going back and forth with your staff. I know you all are looking at this and you're trying, but, and I appreciated your comments earlier, this is not about, but is this something that you can continue to give a fresh look at? You know, we just want to make sure that for this community of homebound Polish seniors, that they're getting the culturally competent, linguistic, right types of meals that bring them joy.
Absolutely. For the record, they are getting culturally competent meals, all right? And we're making every effort to ensure that happened.
Okay.
I took that very, very seriously. But the contractor who had the contract originally did not submit a proposal that won. And that is part of the city procurement process.
Right.
And, but the commitment to that community has never waned. And that's the key point here. And our commitment is to continue to provide culturally competent meals and to make sure that the current provider is also doing that in the most welcoming way possible.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I get it, and the procurement process is what the procurement process is, and not everyone can win, right? But they had long been a sub on doing this work for decades, and I think doing a great job from everything I could tell based on the seniors and the people I had talked to in my community.
And we had no problems with their performance. It was
I
just,
understand that.
Yeah.
I know you weren't criticizing them, or they were a sub on the contract. They didn't win this. They weren't part of the winning bid for this next round. We're going to continue to solicit feedback from our community about how they feel like things are going. I think we've gotten more complaints earlier in the year. Things seem to have subsided. We'll continue to check in and hear back. If there was an opportunity for them to be brought on as a sub again, I know that's up to the vendor. It's not your decision. But I know it would mean a lot to the people of Greenpoint, for the Polish people in Greenpoint who really depend on this. But,
And I want to make sure that I want to hear directly what those issues are so that we can address those that we can
Right.
and be forthright about those that we can't. But hearsay sometimes is very hard and not too tangible to address.
Totally.
Okay.
And our obligation as public officials is not to keep a provider happy, it's to serve the seniors effectively, right? And so that is my North Star. I know it's your North Star. And we'll do some more due diligence and appreciate your team's
Thank you.
Willingness to always engage. I just want to thank you. It's good to be here with you all.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions, and we'll be sure to follow
thank
up
you.
on your behalf
Yeah.
and your district's behalf as well. Councilmember Banks.
So I want,
Yep.
I'm sorry, hi.
Hey, good to see you.
Councilman Beck, I want to address one of the questions you raised about Jose's not here, but he sent me a note. Okay. About
Jose.
the cost of, he's the man with the dollars, or he managed them so well. One of the ways we do try to address the cost of it's not the ideal way, but and it's not a structural way, well, no, it's not a consistent way, is the way we address the older adult club food costs is through the underspending. And we do that exercise where we shift dollars to sometimes address that. But that is not really addressing the meal cost as we have with home-delivered meals. So I want to address that.
You're talking about the congregate meals question.
Congregate meals, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, for the older
So
adult club meal cost.
You shift money around as
We
needed.
shift money
to help
around, we shift money
address the
within your
cost.
budget, we shift money among contractors to try to address that. But that is not the same consistent way that we do with home-delivered meals.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. Well, we appreciate the effort there, but definitely would like to see
Yeah, got it.
a sustained increase in that funding. So,
Yeah.
as always, consider us partners in that effort.
Sorry, Chris, sorry, Councilman Banks.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. And Commissioner, it's always good to see you. And, your partnership is greatly appreciated in the 42nd Council District. And regarding, obviously, this particular bill, Intro 237, are there any potential challenges you foresee on the agency side when it comes to the implementation?
One of the things, you're talking about District 37, you're talking about Fort Greene and, is that what we're
Well,
talking about?
Fort Greene, yeah.
All right. I have one of the strongest partnerships we have is with Fort Greene, who's the major provider in that area. And they've received additional funding through the council so that they can take care of some other NYCHA facilities and non-housing, in particular Mount Ararat.
Mount Ararat.
And
Councilmember Mealy's district.
yes.
Yeah.
But they have, they've addressed a lot of those issues. And I always go back to, and it's not a canned statement, but it is a real statement, a realistic statement about the needs constantly outpace the resources for NYCAG.
Okay.
But the providers, and I go back to the statement I just made, prior to 2 years ago, we always left sometimes $15 million of unspent dollars in the aging network around older adult centers. And 2 years, and it was something that I raised every year, and the council member, the chair can tell you. And then 2 years ago, we just tackled it and started shifting dollars from one provider to the other to not have that kind of money stay unspent when we know that the needs are so high.
What changes or accommodations would DFTA need, whether budgetarily, staffing, or otherwise, to help with the implementation of these programs, such as obviously the grab-and-go meals, and the technical support for the adults, and other similar initiatives?
I think one of the chair constantly talks about the size of this budget compared to the population.
Right.
And the way that we have to address some of those unmet needs now is through ensuring that we shift dollars across the network. And that's the remedy that we have, and it's the remedy that we've been using. Does it address everything? No. But it gets us closer to looking at some of those issues and making sure that we don't have dollars left on the table.
Excellent. And I think this question was asked already, but how is DFTA ensuring that meals are culturally appropriate for immigrant and diverse communities, and including some of the heavy Caribbean and Latin South Asian populations, particularly in neighborhoods like East New York?
Yeah. So in part, we've always NYC Aging has always had an eye towards that. I would say 3 years ago, I believe it was, council member, when you put it in as a mandate, we've always, I think you said 15%, we went to 20%. I don't remember, was committee?
I do believe that's correct.
Okay, so it is a requirement. Before it was standard, now it's a requirement, and we monitor against that to make sure that meals are, and activities are culturally competent. If there's 20% of the population or more attends that center or reside in the area.
And lastly, Madam Chair, if I may have a minute, lastly, if these bills are passed, I want to just put on a record that I hope that the 42nd Council District be one of the first districts that's prioritized. The need in my district is great, and while we are grateful for the food pantry funding and the annual enhancements we receive, it is far from enough. Too many seniors and families are still falling through the cracks. So my hope is that this initiative, along with the strong oversight of DFTA's meal program, will help close some of these gaps once and for all to help deal with some of the food insecurity issues in the 42nd. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner, again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Banks. Going into home-delivered meals. Older adult food insecurity is at a crisis level in New York City, as we all know. Why are home-delivered meal providers required in New York City Aging's HDM standards to operate only 249 days a year when food insecurity exists 365 days a year? What resources are needed to expand home-delivered meals service? I mean, we
So
touched on
there's
this a little bit.
249 operating days, but meals are provided for weekends and holidays through our programs. So even though we may be operating and open 249 for home-delivered meals, they still get the full complement of that because they get seven meals a week.
But, hold on a second.
So holiday meals are provided. They might be done through extra deliveries.
Right, and I think they don't consistently receive meals 7 days a week. I mean,
I don't know where they do not. They're not
Okay.
delivered 7 days a week, but they are the equivalent of 7 days of meals a week.
I see, okay.
All right, so you might and it varies. Some programs deliver 2 on Friday, some deliver 2 on Friday and 1 on Saturday. It's a variety of different delivery methodologies, but it is not 7-day-a-week delivery.
So then, is it safe to say there would not be an additional cost if this is what you're already doing? Because essentially, we're codifying what you already do.
No, because the way it's provided now is through a public-private partnership that absorbs the cost.
Okay, so what is the estimated cost?
The cost, the additional 2 meals as a city program is the
27 to 28 that you mentioned.
Right.
Okay, so perhaps this is something that we can discuss as the bill moves forward, but our estimate is that it would cost about $9 million. So there's a big discrepancy there between the $9 million and the $30 million.
I don't know how you would arrive at 9 million.
Okay.
If you're doing just food costs, even that won't even come up, that'll go far beyond 9 million.
Okay.
So let's look
Yeah,
at
we'll
that.
follow up. Okay.
Right, and we can give you the breakdown of the 27 million.
Okay, and for the older adults participating in the home delivered meals program specifically, how many receive home delivered meals as their only source of food?
How many, say that again?
How many receive home delivered meals as their only source of food? Do you have a sense?
We can get back to you on that. That is what we absolutely know that they get. I don't
Right.
know if we have a
As a minimum.
data element on other meals that they may get.
Okay. Or I think even just the question of whether or not it's their only source of food.
Well,
You know, we talked about earlier, obviously.
right, the
successfully
assessment would
reducing-
indicate, to be eligible for home-delivered meals, the assessment indicates that you cannot cook for yourself, you have no one buying groceries for you, you have no other way to provide meals for yourself.
Right, but I don't think we can assume that everyone who meets those standards may not have other means of eating.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not an assumption
yeah,
we
it's-
can
it's
necessarily
not-
make. There might be some people who,
Right.
you know,
I'm trying to think of myself as a caregiver. My mother would not receive home-delivered meals. First of all, she has caregiving. But even if she did, she would still probably get some meal support through the family. But that is
Right.
not, that is
not
not something
everybody's
that we
case.
know or wasn't available during the assessment process.
right, right.
Right?
Okay. In fiscal year 2025, NYC Aging served approximately 3.8 million home-delivered meals to 23,935 clients, a 10% decline in meals and 3% decline in recipients compared to fiscal year 2024, which NYC Aging partially attributes to a new data management system that you referenced earlier. Can you explain more about the system and why it is negatively impacting the city's ability to provide food to older adults?
So it's a combination of two things. It's still the 2,000 MLTC clients that have not come back into the system. All right, so that's one part of that drop. And then the other one, which we will remedy, is, data transition and building up to making sure that everyone has the ability to use the data system that we have.
Okay, and do you know how many older adults were previously eligible for home-delivered meals because of a temporary situation that they're no longer eligible for?
The 3,000 that we have been speaking about for the MLTC.
And how's the information that a client is no longer eligible for home-delivered meals communicated to them, and what options are provided to them to continue accessing nutritious food?
It's discussed with them verbally. Then they get it in writing. And then there has to be a plan that talks about how they are getting their food, whether it's pantries or there has to be an aftercare plan.
Are there any clients that are initially deemed ineligible who are then brought back?
Well, clients have a 2-week period to file a grievance and to say, your information is incorrect.
And how do they file that grievance?
Usually through the caseworker who's in constant communication with them. and
Okay,
has
so
to-
verbally, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How many grievance cases are reversed or overturned?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that. That's a great question, by the way, because now I think I have that question.
Okay. How much notice is provided to an older adult who is deemed no longer eligible? You said well, 2 weeks essentially is the timeline from when they would be
2
off
weeks
the program?
You have 2 weeks to say that, don't forget, you're getting a meal every day.
Right,
So you have 2 weeks within that period to say your assessment that, you know, that my home care attendant is providing my meal is accurate or not. You know, even if I was transitioned to MLTC, that doesn't mean that I'm getting a meal because MLTC only does medically required meals.
okay. Since fiscal year 2023, the number of home-delivered meals served has declined by almost 800,000, and the number of clients has declined by roughly 3,500. What resources and policy changes are needed to reverse these significant losses and get more food to more clients?
I don't know how to give you information on that right now. All right? Something we'll look at.
Okay. How many of these clients transitioned to congregate meals if you track that data? Or I guess, do you track that data?
I'll get back to you on exactly what the transition data is that we have that toggles between home delivered meals and congregate. I do know that, and that I'll get you back the data, that OACs have the opportunity to deliver meals to an older adult if they are medically, you know, they've been discharged from a hospital and so they haven't come to the center. So I will get you the numbers on those distinct ways that OACs do, and also when someone transfers from congregate to home delivered or vice versa.
Okay, great, thank you. And then also, for clients that are offered the option to participate in meals served at OACs, but they decline to do so, do you have a sense of some of the most common reasons why they decline to participate? That
I'll get
might be a
that to
little
you. I don't even know that anecdotally.
ad hoc. Yeah, okay. How does NYC Aging monitor compliance with the requirement that home-delivered meal drivers conduct 2 face-to-face contacts per week?
It is part of an assessment. Now, we have a system where we are tracking the drivers, and so that is a requirement that the provider has to document.
Okay, so let me just ask you, tracking drivers, I don't want to assume I know what that means, but
Yeah, and I'm not going to sound like if I'm the data expert either.
Okay.
But I do know that we have a system that the driver logs in. Please don't ask me right now how.
Okay,
But there is a system that the driver does log in to say, one, that the meal was delivered. All right, so that there is the thing also about the time of delivery, so that we're monitoring lots of things at
Right.
that time. The amount of time of the delivery, the actual delivery, and then the contact. And so I could give you more details on what that system is and how that system operates.
excuse me, for now, I think that's sufficient. I was thinking that perhaps there was a tracking device in the van, and I was going to ask,
I think
just
it's on
because
the
they
driver's phone.
right, which is better, because just
Yeah.
because they arrive at the location or whatever doesn't necessarily mean
I
they're having a
think
face-to-face
I
contact.
remember thinking like, wow. But I believe it's on the driver's phone. I cannot tell you if it's fully operational or is still in test phase, but I do know that that's where we've
Okay, so there's a software system that they use. Okay, great. Excuse me. What percentage of older New Yorkers who request home-delivered meals are found ineligible, and then what happens to them?
We don't track those that are found ineligible. Our focus is food insecurity. But what we do is make referrals to other agencies.
Okay, that's what I was just
and
going to
to
ask. Is
other
there any?
resources.
Okay.
Okay, and let them know what local food pantries are, and but we don't track them from that point on.
Got it. How does NYC Aging coordinate with case management agencies to ensure assessments are timely and do not delay access to food?
Food is not delayed. The minute you're found in food insecure, the assessment may not continue, but that service is turned on.
So do they get a meal the next day, the same day,
Probably the
the
next
next
day.
week?
Yeah. No, the minute you're deemed eligible, you're turned on to say that you're eligible. We notify the home delivered meal provider, and more than likely, it would not take a whole week unless it happened, on a Friday.
Okay, so the next business day.
Yeah.
What share of home delivered meals clients are immigrants or have limited English proficiency? And how does NYC Aging ensure linguistically and culturally appropriate meal delivery?
Since we don't track citizenship or immigration status,
But you do track, I think you said language.
but we
That's just
do
English.
track language and culture, and religious. So we're still working to get all of that data on the languages spoken. All right.
Okay, for grab-and-go meals,
Yes.
how many OACs currently contract for grab-and-go meals, and how does NYC Aging decide where those contracts are placed?
We have 106 providers. Each one of them has the ability to do grab and go.
How do you decide where the contracts go? How did you select the 106
The
providers?
contractors indicated during the RFP that they would do grab and go. And grab and go, of course, has to be on a limited basis because the federal requirement is that each meal is done in a congregate setting.
Okay,
So
and
grab and go could be for a second meal. It could be circumstances are not allowing me to come to the center that day.
I just want to confirm, is 106 providers the same as 106 OACs?
146 providers have grab and go.
146.
Right, are contracted to provide grab and go meals.
And do you know how many OACs that is? Are you using that as
Well, this-
providers as OACs, or, because there could be
No,
a net?
no, I'm not. And
Right.
I wouldn't do the quantum leap.
Right.
Because we have 308 OACs. What I can do is crosswalk. Some of those providers may have multiple sites. So I could then look at what that means in OACs, what the 146 equals in OACs.
That would be helpful.
Okay?
How many grab-and-go meals were provided in fiscal year 2025, and how does this compare to 2024, fiscal year 2024?
Do we have a number for grab and go meals? I don't have that. If I have that number, I'm looking for where it is. I do not know that we track it that way.
You don't know that you track year over year?
I don't know. Commissioner does not know how we track the grab and goes distinct from meals,
Okay,
and I'm going to find out right now.
okay.
That's about it. Okay, they're getting me that information.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Right.
Are grab-and-go meals treated as primary meals rather than supplemental for purposes of the contracts?
No, it would be a meal. It would be labeled. They would have,
I guess-
probably would give a reason why they're doing the grab and go. And so,
Well, a home-delivered meal or a congregate meal, would be considered, I suppose, like a primary meal, because, is there a difference in that sense for contractual
some providers
purposes?
provide the grab and go as a second meal. If you have a commissary kitchen, you can provide, once you have the ability to grab and go, some could do it as a secondary meal, some could do it situationally as the main meal. It depends on the circumstance.
Okay, so some OACs, may provide more than one meal
Right.
inclusive of the.
And that may be as a grab and go option.
Now, in the
For example,
thinking about the opposite scenario. Could they be providing fewer meals if they're using the grab and go as,
oh, this
Are providers
okay,
using
let me-
grab-and-go meals
So if I
as congregate
understand that,
meals?
so can grab and go substitute for a congregate meal?
correct?
All right, so if that's the question, it's situational, right? So if I cannot stay for whatever reason today, my grab and go may be my primary meal.
The congregate meal could serve as one's grab and go meal.
The grab and go will be somebody's congregate meal, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What
Thank you for that.
what are we trying to,
No, we're there. I'm saying it the opposite, so I just want
Okay.
to make sure we're.
it's the same, we're saying the same thing,
Okay.
I
What-
believe.
Yeah, well, I said the congregate meal would serve as the grab and go. You're saying the grab and go would serve as the congregate, but,
It's the same thing.
yeah,
One of them is your primary meal for that day,
right.
okay, given the circumstances. But sometimes grab and go could be more than just your primary meal. That's the
Right.
point I wanted to make, too.
Right. We got that. Okay, great. What data does NYC Aging collect on grab and go usage rates compared to congregate meals at the same OACs?
I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay. And then we're still working on the FY '25 versus FY '24 grab and go meals
Yeah,
number?
yeah, we are.
Okay. Does current city, state, and federal funding meet the documented need for nutrition programming, given that food insecurity rates remain at pandemic-era levels? I can ask a different way if helpful.
What we can say is that the food insecurity provided by the current congregate meals and home delivered meals addresses that for one meal for those individuals served,
Okay.
right?
So
Because
I would say no.
right, because there's many people who are not availing themselves and who are not eligible for those meals at this point. And many are not coming to the older adult center.
Let me ask you this too, just in light of the news that came out today with regards to the Trump administration choosing not to measure food insecurity, will NYC Aging continue to measure and survey food insecurity?
We could measure that for those individuals that we serve, and we could definitely work with the Mayor's Office of Food Policy to see how we will be addressing food insecurity,
Okay,
the measure of food insecurity.
right. On September 2nd, President Trump and congressional Republicans' cuts to SNAP went into effect. The Community Service Society of New York estimates that benefits for roughly 2 million New Yorkers who receive food stamps through SNAP will be cut this month, with a family of 4 standing to lose $36 per month in benefits. Can you describe any steps that NYC Aging is taking to mitigate the impact of SNAP work requirements and cuts on the older adults you serve?
We are working with DSS to, one, determine how many older adults are receiving SNAP. We are working very closely with them. We know the number and are looking at ways to address all of these food insecurity issues.
Okay, thank you for that. What policies or resources are required from the city or state to limit the damage and protect lower-income, older New Yorkers from falling deeper into poverty or going hungry?
It's one of the issues that we're constantly looking at. I mean, workforce is one way of doing that. Food pantries is another way of doing that. The correlation between financial insecurity and food insecurity is very strong, and we look at both those issues through our services.
How are restrictions on SNAP access for immigrant older adults playing out in New York City?
I cannot answer that. We don't administer SNAP, and our services are, I got the grab-and-go numbers for you.
Okay.
And our services, we can tell you how many people that come through our case management and as well as our Aging Connect, how many people are indicating that they've been impacted, but we don't administer that. We work very closely with DSS on that.
So you wouldn't know then how many older adult immigrant New Yorkers might be impacted by being kicked off of SNAP?
No, we can tell you the number that are on SNAP now, but not knowing that nuance as to
What's
what
that number
delta.
that are on SNAP?
I'll get back to you on that number. I believe it's
Okay.
about 500,000, but I'll get back to you on that number. I don't want to give an inaccurate number.
Okay. And then do you know if there will be any changes to how older immigrants access food through NYC Aging's meal programming?
We don't track status or citizenship, so it would just be an older adult who's 60 or over comes and gets a meal.
Okay, fair. So the grab-and-go meals.
Grab and go. Up through May 2025, because that's the number we have, is 320,997 meals, grab and go.
Okay.
And in FY '24, for the full year, that was 322,271. Thank you.
Okay, so roughly 2,000 decrease.
Well, no, that was through, the number I'm giving you is through May, and the grab and go number for '24 was full year,
Okay.
right? So there's 2
Time.
months of data.
Okay,
It seems to be
So, okay,
on the
so it could be
incline.
on track.
On the
Yeah.
increase, I mean.
okay. Fair. Thank you.
It was 146 OACs, not providers, my mistake,
Got it.
that
Well,
provide grab and go. Of the 308 OACs, 146 provide grab and go.
Okay, that's good of you to own your team's mistake, because that was, I think they gave that to you. That's what a good boss does.
Yeah, I
Hold
just
on.
got that.
Let me just find my note.
You had asked how many,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The difference between, I just can't find my note, but I'll get to it. It's 146 OACs.
not providers.
Thank you for that. Okay, thank you. Just trying to streamline some of the questions here, so
I
that
know, because I'm on a tight,
we got you.
Okay.
So, and thank you for your time.
no, I thank you.
Does the administration support intro number 237, which would codify the grab-and-go meals program and allow OACs to voluntarily offer grab-and-go meals to participating older adults? And what challenges do you foresee if this legislation advances?
I think the challenges for us is the federal requirement. The federal requirement says that congregate meals and services have to be provided at the same time. That might impact federal dollars.
Does the administration support intro number 238, which would require NYC Aging and Do It to develop a technical support program to serve older adults?
So What we do support is the expansion of technical support services. Technical support for devices that are not owned by the city, monitored by the city, we don't have the capacity to do that.
Right. Are there any forms of tech support for older adults that are currently provided by or funded by the city?
There's many of our older adult centers provide, no, not technical support, provide training
Technical
and
training, yeah.
digital training. And in that, an individual may bring in their tablet and say, help me navigate this, or their phone.
not
But
a
no,
formal
technical
program.
support is not part of any of our provisions.
And do you know how many older adults participate in those programs that you mentioned each year?
I can get you that number.
Okay.
And we know that there's a higher demand for that,
Okay.
for digital training,
Right.
not technical support.
Right. Does the administration? We all need technical support.
Well,
think, at
I
one
definitely
time-
do.
one
We're
time or
trying to
another.
get you some numbers here.
Does the administration support intro number 725, which would require New York City Aging and HPD to determine how many older adults live in apartment buildings in each council district, and how many of those apartments are retrofitted for people with disabilities, including mobility issues?
There are so many roadblocks to that bill as it is proposed that it was even challenging to come up with a cost estimate.
Right.
Because we couldn't even figure out how it would even be implemented.
Okay. All righty. Well, those are all my questions for you
I thank
today.
you.
I thank you so very much, and thank you again for your patience. I had a
No.
rerouted train delay issue earlier, so.
So that was one board I was happy not to be on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was off the record.
It was on, but we'll
Oh, well,
consider it
on.
to be.
I no longer serve on that.
Okay, I now open the hearing for public testimony, and I want to remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant-at-Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant-at-Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on the oversight topic, Department for the Aging meal programming, or on introductions 237, 238, 725, and 770. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant-at-Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. And the first panel is Emma Basir, Janine Cahill-Jackson, Marcus Jackson, and Anita Kwok. And one more. Okay, Jeanette Estima instead of Emma Basir. So Jeanette, Janine, Marcus, and Anita. Do you want to start?
Good afternoon, Chair Hudson and the members of the committee. My name is Marcus Jackson, and I am the Manager of Advocacy, Community, and Government Relations at Encore Community Services. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. Encore has been serving older New Yorkers for nearly 50 years. Every day we deliver meals, provided case management, and create spaces for connection, helping thousands of older adults age with dignity. We strongly support the intent of Intro 770 to ensure that every older adult who needs it receives a home-delivered meal 7 days a week, year-round. But we must be clear, providers cannot do this work without full city funding, at the current reimbursement rate. Today, Encore delivers weekday meals funded by DFTA, while weekend meals are provided through a community partnership that doesn't cover our cost. That creates deficits for providers. At Encore alone, covering 2 additional weekend meals per week at the DFTA reimbursement rate would require about $1.8 million per year. Citywide, we estimate that the number is roughly $34 million. Without this investment, mandating 7-day delivery would strain providers, divert scarce private dollars, and ultimately shortchange older adults. So we urge the council to do 2 things. First is ensure that Intro 770 explicitly requires full DFTA funding for 7 meals per week at the full reimbursement rate. The second, work with providers and community partners to implement this expansion in a way that strengthens the aging services system. A fully funded 7-day service would mean better nutrition, greater stability, and more social connections for tens of thousands of homebound older adults. That's the vision we share with you, and we look forward to working together to make it happen. Again, we stress the urge on the importance of the language in the bill reflecting the sentiments that was expressed today, having the bill fully funded. Thank you.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Estima, and I'm the Director of Policy and Advocacy at City Meals on Wheels. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. We would like to express our support for the bills before the committee today and to commend the bill's sponsors in their work to expand food and technology access for older adults. With food insecurity on the rise, New York City's congregate and home-delivered meals programs must be considered as anti-hunger interventions, not just opportunities to decrease social isolation or provide a little support to families. As such, the city's elder nutrition programs should be expanded to offer more food to older adults in ways that provide them with the dignity of choice in what, where, when, and how they eat. Furthermore, the city's existing food assistance infrastructure must be properly funded at a baseline to ensure continuity of nutrition support. Over the past couple of years, we've gotten a better understanding of the food needs of homebound older adults. You've cited some of the statistics in our research. I'll just add to that, in addition to about half of the respondents reporting food insecurity, we also learned that only 56% were receiving SNAP, and about 1/3 of those receiving SNAP said it was not enough to cover their needs. And only 18% had used a food pantry, only 4% had used a mobile food pantry. And so what we know is that the city's homebound older adults are not accessing the food and support that they need. Many are unable to access existing anti-hunger programs because of their limited ability to get to food pantries, and also the physical and mental difficulties that come with preparing a meal with ingredients you might get from a pantry or from a grocery store. Without a home-delivered meal provided for every day of the week, many would simply go without food. The solution is clear, though: improving existing programs like the home-delivered meals and congregate meals, offering new opportunities for grab and go, investing in innovative new programs, and making pantries and online resources more accessible so that we can get more food to people. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Chair Hudson and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Janine Cahill-Jackson. I'm the Director of Elder Law with the Legal Aid Society. The Legal Aid Society is in support of all of the bills before the council today. Just to go through a few suggestions and comments we have. First, regarding the grab and grow meals, this could be very essential for older adults to still be able to access their daily meal, but still be able to make a doctor's appointment to address any health concerns they might have at a particular time about eating in a congregate setting, and enable them to do what they need to do while not sacrificing their access to food. Second, regarding the DFTA-funded meal program 7 days a week, this is extremely important to ensure food access for older adults. As was highlighted multiple times today, even this is still just 1 meal out of 3, and for many folks that are homebound, the ability to even buy groceries to supplement the other 2 meals a day is oftentimes something that they can't navigate on their own without support. So in addition, as a future consideration for the council, I would suggest, or the Legal Aid Society suggests, possibly a grocery delivery program as well, so that low-income New Yorkers could have the same ease at accessing food. For example, those that can do Whole Foods delivery through Amazon, which can be very essential when you can't get out of the house. Third, Legal Aid supports the technical support bill. Older adults have many barriers to accessing essential services, and technology is just one of them. In addition to teaching folks how to use the resources, we strongly suggest that it's included that at least one tablet or laptop is accessible at each older adult center, so that low-income New Yorkers that can't afford their own devices can use the information they gain through a device that they can access for free. In addition, perhaps a private space to have a meeting with the doctor or a legal professional could be helpful as well. May I continue for a moment more?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. This would make it easier for the older adult to go to a comfortable space, maybe not have to commute all the way to, for example, the Legal Aid Society to meet with their attorney, and to be able to provide documents, other things very important to accessing help that they need. Lastly, Legal Aid supports the bill requiring the report on which apartments seniors live in and which are accessible units. We recommend a few additional data points to be included in the report. Legal Aid recommends that this report not only include documentation of how many disabled older adults are I apologize, I'm misreading my own writing. I'm going to rephrase.
Happens to the best of us.
Thank you. We recommend that it be included in the report how many disabled older New Yorkers live in non-accessible apartments, and further, if it's easily identifiable, what accommodations could be made to make their apartment more accessible, if that's noted as well. And perhaps what is not able to be, if the unit's not able to be modified. For example, installing an elevator in a 5-flight walk-up building might not be an easily accessible change. However, perhaps widening a door or changing the tub so that you can step into it are actually modifications that could be achieved. This could open the doorway to partnerships with other organizations and maybe HPD to help fund these changes get made in the older New Yorkers' apartments to keep them living in the community. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll submit written testimony as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hudson, for convening this oversight hearing on NYC Aging's meal programming. My name is Anita Kwok, a policy analyst at United Neighborhood Houses, a member organization of settlement houses in New York. Settlement houses indicate that food insecurity is one of the top community concerns in 2025, and that there are growing needs. These needs are growing rapidly. At the same time, federal funding threats and cuts to programs like SNAP and FEMA's Emergency Food and Shelter Program are leaving settlement houses without the necessary tools to respond, while placing greater strains on emergency food programs. Regarding Intro 237, grab-and-go meals were a tremendous innovation at the start of the pandemic. We were disappointed to hear NYC Aging ending the program in 2022 unless providers included it in their contracts, and many centers continue to report that grab-and-go remains a popular option. Older adults have public health concerns, food insecurity remains high, which affects providers' utilization numbers for the congregate meals. Anything the city can do to address these needs should be embraced, and the city must ensure that grab-and-go meals continue to be a viable option at all OACs that offer them. While our members agree that there is a need, they also have concerns about implementation. One of our members reported NYC Aging being inconsistent with telling some providers that they could budget for grab-and-go meals while telling others that they couldn't. Another member stated that they would need another staff person. Several of our members note that older adults will go around to various older adult centers looking for grab-and-go meals for an additional lunch to pack because food insecurity is this high. And a lot of our members are also just serving a lot more older adults than they're contracted for, but above all, we support Intro 237 to allow all OACs to provide grab-and-go meals if they want to. Regarding Intro 770 for our homebound adults, the home delivered meal programs is the only food that they are receiving for all their nutritional needs, and they often will stretch that meal to last all day. So we continue to call for a $27 million investment to operationalize Intro 770, which requires the city to pay meals for 7 days a week. Thank you.
And sorry, what was the dollar amount?
It's $27 million.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, thank you all so much for your testimony. I don't believe we have any virtual testimony. If there's anyone else present in the room or on Zoom that has not had the opportunity to testify, please raise your hand on Zoom or step up. Okay, seeing nobody, I'd like to thank everyone again for testifying today, including the administration, and remind people that you can still submit written testimony up to 72 hours after the close of this hearing by emailing it to testimony@council.nyc.gov. And I'll just close by saying food insecurity, whether measured by the Trump administration or not, will continue to exist. And it is therefore, I think, even more important now than ever that we here in New York City continue to serve everybody, but older adults in particular, who might be struggling and experiencing food insecurity. So thanks everyone for being here today. And with that, we are adjourned. Oh, and my apologies. We were joined by Councilmember Mealy. Thank you, and we'll adjourn.